Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Basi. Good morning, Ayo, Rufai, all our viewers, Rise News, YouTube chatters. Good morning to you as well. Beginning with oil, as always, very quickly, just run through it. Oil is down about 3% this week. Again, hawkish talk from the Fed, depressing demand. Really the same story as far as oil is considered. Moving to Asia. Oh, by the way, Bitcoin has fallen to 95,000. Very. Hold or what?
No, the one I said it's per day.
Oh, yeah. OLTH, over the last 24 hours. To Asian markets in the red. We continue to see pressure. Look, Korea continues to lead that way. Same story. You know, they're all looking for the PCE index later on today. So that's on the Asian front. We quickly move on from there. Going on to China's LPR, which is its loan prime rate, no change. The 1 year impacts corporate loans and also household loans. The 5 year impacts mortgages. So no change there. 3.1%, 3.6%. Japan inflation just came in a day after the Bank of Japan held rates. Headline 2.9, October was 2.3. Core inflation, we're going to talk about core inflation a lot, Nigeria and the US, 2.7, estimate was 2.6. The Bank of Japan's target is 2%. Bank of England and Mexico, both going in different paths. So Bank of England, I think I heard Dr. Vati mention Andrew Bailey a moment ago. I'll start with Mexico, Victoria Rodriguez. They cut rates for the fourth time in a row, 25 basis points to 10%, pretty much almost unanimous. Mexico, inflation is easing, but they are worried about one particular man that's going to be inaugurated soon. And it's the same language across the entire week, from Jerome Powell to Victoria Rodriguez to Kazuo Ueda to Ms. Andrew Bailey. Bank of England, they held, but there was a split. 6 of them wanted to hold. 3 of them wanted to cut. So let's get to the man who is causing all this tension. And a lot of the talk around the debt ceiling is it's everywhere because of that deadline. He tweeted this, he truthed this, if you will, on Truth Social not long ago. He says, Congress must get rid of or extend out to perhaps 2029 the ridiculous debt ceiling. Without this, we'll never make a deal. Remember, the pressure is on whoever is president. So it's really not that much on Elon Musk, it's Trump. And the reason why is because Trump wants to spend billions of dollars on beefing up border security. He wants to cut taxes. He wants to spend more money on the military. Fiscal policy 101. If you are reducing your income and spending more, you grow your deficit. How do you fill up your deficit? You borrow more money. And unlike in Nigeria, where President Buhari was ignoring the check on borrowing, in the US, the Congress is a check on borrowing and spending. So that's the reason why the debt ceiling, he wants to extend it to give him more room to borrow enough money to make up for the shortfall between lowering taxes and raising spending. So we move from there, and you remember there was a partial government shutdown late December 2018 going into 2019. This was from the Congressional Budget Office, right? Just to remind people, I heard Ayo talking about this. There was delayed $16 billion in discretionary spending, 0.1% impact on Q4 2018 GDP, 0.2% on 2019 Q1. Full year GDP hit by 0.02%. You may say the numbers are small, but there was an impact, and the people won't get salaries before Christmas time, right? So from there, you now go to the chronicle of things that's been happening. Mike Johnson might not have a job in 2 weeks' time because they're going to vote for on January the 3rd. That's the Speaker of the House. But he introduced that bipartisan spending bill, which I think I heard Rufai saying was already agreed upon between Democrats and Republicans. Sure. Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Trump all came out and opposed it. Then Trump came and backed up this new bill that is pushing out the debt ceiling, and it failed. And it's important to note that 38 Republicans voted against it. Yeah. Because historically, 38. Yeah. Republicans are supposed to be the party of fiscal responsibility who do not want the debt ceiling to be eliminated or pushed back. They want it in place to keep a check on Democrats who want to spend on welfare, pensions, and so on and so forth. So the soap opera, it continues, and if there is a shutdown, what we're seeing now is that long-term U.S. bonds, actually we're seeing a movement. If you are a bond holder and you are investing in 30-year bonds, if you are worried that inflation is going to rise, these are the soap opera stars of the thing. If you are worried that inflation is going to rise and eat into your earnings, years into the future, you will sell those bonds because I move into more short-term securities, and then the yields on those bonds will rise. So we've seen, because there's a divergence between inverse relationship between the price and the yield on a bond. So there's an impact, and we're seeing the markets react as well. So we'll see what happens as of midnight tonight if this goes down. PCE is going to be out from the US later today. This is the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index. Dr. Abati talks a lot. I was dying to play this clip yesterday, but we ran out of time. Finally have it. Here is Jerome Powell at the press conference, and I've included the journalist's question here, where they asked him, how is it that you prefer core inflation to headline? This was just Inflation 101. I want to link it to Nigeria, but listen to this very educative chat from Jerome Powell of the Fed.
I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were saying at the beginning about inflation. Are you saying that progress on core PCE counts as progress on inflation, even if headline inflation ticks up? And then also, since that's what's projected in the SEP, I was wondering what accounts for that? Why do you all see core PCE going down and potentially headline inflation ticking up?
So, and as I imagine you know, the goal overall is headline inflation, because that's what people experience. People don't experience core inflation, they experience inflation, and that includes food and energy costs. So that's the overall goal. But as we know, headline inflation contains energy and food, and those prices can fluctuate for reasons that are not related to tightness in the economy and therefore are not really good predictors of future inflation. So it turns out that core inflation is a better predictor of overall inflation than overall inflation is. So we look at core inflation because it's a better measure of what future inflation is likely to be, because it's a better measure of what inflation pressures exist. So it's complicated, but ultimately our goal is headline, not core. So your second question was what?
Why do you all see core going down but headline potentially ticking up?
So headline can be affected. You're talking about next year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So headline can be affected by energy prices and food prices. So that there will be things in the headline forecast that are to do with forecasts of energy prices, whereas core will be, if you look at core going out a full year, then it'll be much more driven by things like tightness in the economy. So that's why the two can go in different directions. Headline has been lower, as you know, most of this year, but that's because energy prices have been coming down, which is a great thing for people, but energy prices will come down and then they will go up, and it won't really be telling us anything about how tight the economy is and how future inflation will perform.
Just to round off with Nigeria, I want to show you the inflation basket year on year and month on month here. Of course, on the front page of today's This Day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper Record, has got our conversation with the Director General of the Budget Office, who says that President Tinubu can get inflation down from 30.64 to 15. You look at the basket, and this is something that Bismarck Rwani has talked about rejigging Nigeria's basket. I highlighted this. You look at, we talk about energy costs and Nigeria's CPI. This is disproportionately weighted towards food and non-alcoholic beverages. You can see it at 17.92 as far as contribution year on year. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels are just 5.79. If we flip to month on month, you have it at, I think, 1.37 for food and non-alcoholic beverages, 0.44. When you think about what you pay to power your generator and to fuel it, and the cost of keeping the lights on as opposed to the grid, I think that, as far as this discussion is around rejigging the basket, really needs to add more weight to energy costs in the country. There was a video I posted a couple of days ago, went viral, people were jumping on my neck, but I was basically just saying that until we fix this energy matter, the whole discussion around getting inflation down in Nigeria is essentially going to, FX has a wide impact, but, energy, we got to focus on energy,
so
right, basically.
They're going to do a rebasing soon. I think this is a part of also, the conversations they're going to have as regards the rebasing. And we'll like to see, even when the GDP numbers also come out, because some people were touting that probably if the rebasing is done, then we can see the rejigging in the numbers and how it's being calculated. But I just hope some funny statistics is not going on somewhere. We just hope for the integrity.
Right.
Because we are hearing reports that after that stat about the perception of security came out, National Bureau of Statistics, they are saying
he was
the
invited.
website was hacked, and he was invited by security.
DSS.
Right, but why?
Right.
I mean, these are just statistics that we very see statistics get that from other sources, but maybe because it's NBA that puts that. As regards Trump, but you see, American people, whatever you voted for,
you
enjoy
take it. You enjoy it.
And the weak must suffer what they must. Janusz Varoufakis wrote that book.
Yeah.
Because the experts came out to say increasingly that Trump's plan will increase the deficit from about 8 to 10 trillion.
That's right.
And he's already telling you that he doesn't want any debt ceiling because he's saying he doesn't want responsibility.
Right.
What he's saying is that give me the pots. Let me take anything I want to take. Let me borrow as much as possible. And when you increase the deficit that a lot of people have tried as much as possible to be able to reduce, and kudos to Joe Biden, you might not like the man, but I keep repeating that Inflation Reduction Act
was impactful.
Was impactful. Did a lot to be able to stabilize the economy in America, and which is a lot of the gains now that Trump is going to enjoy, that is riding into now.
Yeah.
Because always with Trump, it's always the case that a Democrat does the job.
Like Obama last time.
Like Obama does the job last time. He will come and enjoy the gains and he will say, I did well. And some of the Americans will fall for his shenanigan. So that's always the case with him.
All right. So very quickly, we discussed this earlier, but just to throw more light on what's happening with regards to a government shutdown. This happened previously, so he's just repeating the cycle. In 2018, during his tenure, it happened the same way, and it caused quite an upset. One of the biggest parts of this that a number of people are talking about is the impact on agriculture and for farmers. The $100 billion, provision for them in this budget, and what would happen if that doesn't happen? If this budget isn't passed by midnight tonight. Beyond that is also the staff members. In 2018, they had to put some staff on furlough and just look at the most essential staff members to keep, and they were there without pay. So it really was a major impact. I wouldn't want to understand why he would want a repeat of that again in his second tenure. Is it a signature? Is it something that he wants to leave as his mark or his trademark? It's quite interesting to see that. But a number of people are saying that can be suspended. The House members are scrambling to see what they can do before midnight. I don't imagine, because it's happened before, we're not optimistic that it will not happen again. But beyond this, also on the political side is how he's going to work with the Republicans when he becomes president, and also his relationship with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And people are saying that, maybe this reveals some form of cracks in their relationship. And it's just going to be interesting. We're having a foretaste of what a Trump presidency will look like for the American economy.
Well, when President Trump won the election on November 5, there was this excitement in the markets everywhere, even cryptocurrency. And now the tone of reality is beginning to set in ahead of January 20. And before then, of course, the other thing, the major thing that has happened this week is the Fed saying that, look, next year there's going to be some tightening. The 4 rate cuts that we promised in September 2024, you may not get more than 2. The big thing there is the implication for global markets, particularly emerging markets. And what you described in Asia and all of that is the effect of of that, because if the Fed continues to tighten or begins to tighten again afresh next year, you have a strong dollar. When you have a strong dollar, all those economies whose currencies are tied to the dollar will have effect. And that's why perhaps we see cautious moves, even in China. The LPR rate, 1 year, 5 year. Well, it may not affect China directly, but a weaker yuan could be an issue, in a world in which uncertainty has been deepened. All the emerging markets that are a piece of commentary that I saw, nobody talked about Nigeria there. But I know that if the dollar is very strong, it will also have implications for us. Yeah. And then, of course, oil. Yes, oil, Brent crude and WTI went down 3 cents. Both 3 cents as of this morning. This morning trading, the Brent crude futures went down. Now, and we're producing a budget in Nigeria. We're saying, $75 to the barrel. Right. Well, what is the guarantee that oil will not even go below that range when we have more supply within the market? Well, on a lighter note, something that is not so controversial.
Yeah.
Amazon workers, Teamsters Union.
The strike.
They've gone on strike
Yeah,
in
yeah.
6 major cities in the United
Before
States.
Christmas.
And also in 10 other places. You know, the Teamsters Union says they want to renegotiate the wages with Amazon, but Amazon is very arrogant. And if you don't get your Christmas deliveries from Amazon this Christmas, blame Amazon.
Yeah.
But Amazon, of course, says most of those protesters are not even Amazon staff, and that their deliveries will not be disrupted. So that's another labor issue there between Amazon, the e-commerce giant, and the Teamsters Union. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.